Hello and good evening. The Union Cabinet has given some landmark decisions today, including giving its seal of approval to the 6.28 lakh crore rupees relief package announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. We'll tell you all about the key cabinet decisions in Newsnight tonight. I'm Gautam Roy. We'll also be speaking with our guests about how, while new COVID cases have been steadily going down nationwide, few pockets or districts of high test positivity rates still remain, where the centre has asked the states to exercise caution in relaxing containment and other measures to combat the spread of Covid-19. But first, our headlines. The centre writes to 15 states to take effective measures to curb the spread of Covid-19 in districts where the test positive rate still remains 10% or higher. Stress is laid on unlocking in calibrated and cautious manner and following the five-fold strategy of test, track, treat, COVID-appropriate behaviour and vaccination. The Supreme Court ushers in relief for the loved ones of those who lost their lives in the battle against COVID. The National Disaster Management Authority is to frame guidelines for payment of ex gratia compensation to family members of persons who succumbed to COVID-19. Fresh COVID cases keep declining in the country. 45,951 daily new cases registered in the last 24 hours. Overall recovery rate climbs further to 96.92%. 33.28 crore vaccine doses administered in the country so far. The centre seeks response from the West Bengal government within 2 days on complaints related to holding of fake vaccination camps. The Union Cabinet gives its nod to the 6.28 lakh crore relief package announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman. Also approves public-private partnership mode for the rollout of BharatNet project to provide broadband services in villages in 16 states at the cost of over 19,000 crore rupees. The CCA also approves a reform-based result-linked power distribution scheme worth 3.03 lakh crore rupees to provide 24-hour uninterrupted electricity supply to all rural and urban areas of the country. Agriculture feeder lines will also be solarized to provide cheaper electricity to farmers. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hails GST on the completion of 4 years of its rollout. Says the indirect tax regime has proved to be a milestone in India's economic landscape. Large parts of North India, including Delhi NCR, suffer under the spell of a scorching heat wave when monsoon clouds normally rain down relief at the end of June. The Met Department says no signs of dark clouds covering the region for the next 6 to 7 days, light rain likely by the 2nd or 3rd of July. And Wimbledon witnesses a major upset in the women's singles category on day 3 of the Grand Slam tennis tournament. 5th seed Canadian Bianca Andreescu gets knocked out in the first round by Elise Cornet 6-2, 6-1, who capitalized on 34 unforced errors made by her rival. Well, first up, COVID cases have been going down across the country, but the second wave has not receded completely. The centre has shot off letters to 15 states advising them to take effective measures in a total of 68 districts where test positivity rate remains 10% or higher. Unlocking activities should be carried out in a calibrated and cautious manner, and no stone should be left unturned to curb the spread of the virus. Take a look.
The second wave of the COVID pandemic has subsided in most parts of the country, but there are still some districts which remain worrisome. The union government is vigilant and is taking all measures to ensure that the second wave dies down. Union Health Secretary has written letters to 15 states flagging the districts where between 21st and 27th June the test positivity rate was found to be 10% or more. Arunachal Pradesh has 17 districts, Rajasthan has 12, Meghalaya has 9, Kerala has 8, Andhra Pradesh also has 8, Manipur has 6, Nagaland has 5, Assam has 4, Odisha also has 4, Tripura again has 4, Sikkim has 3, Mizoram has 2, West Bengal has 1, Himachal Pradesh 1, and Puducherry too has 1 district. These states have been advised to take immediate steps to bring the test positive rate down by containing the spread of the virus. The centre's letter says flexibilities and activities being allowed must be in a calibrated and cautious manner. Focus should remain on 5-fold strategy to test, track, treat, COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination. Tuesday also saw the Union Home Ministry asking all states and union territories to keep taking precautions while relaxing lockdowns. They were asked to take measures under the provisions of the Disaster Management Act. The Home Ministry's advisory will remain in effect till the 31st of July. The Home Ministry directed the measures put forth in the Health Ministry's advisory on the 28th of June be followed. According to these guidelines, the case positivity rate and the hospital bed occupancy have to be monitored closely. Increase in positivity rate and reduction in availability of hospital beds should trigger containment and boosting health infrastructure measures. States were directed to take preventive measures in areas and districts with high test positivity rate. States were told to keep closer vigil in districts with higher positive cases per million population. Strengthen health infrastructure immediately whenever necessary. 5-fold strategy to test, track, treat COVID-appropriate behavior and vaccination was emphasized. And stress was laid on masking up, social distancing and cleanliness. All these steps are essential in the fight against COVID-19. Meanwhile, the centre has sought the response of the West Bengal government in complaints related to fake vaccination camps within 2 days. It has also sought strict action against those involved. Union Health Secretary has written a letter to the West Bengal Chief Secretary on the matter. Leader of opposition in the West Bengal Assembly, Shubhendu Adhikari, had complained to the Union Health Minister, alleging fake vaccination being carried out in a Kolkata locality called Koshba. People who got vaccinated during the camp never received their vaccination certificates through the CoWIN platform, raising doubts about the entire exercise. Bureau Report, DD India.
And that brings up our In Focus tonight. Centre flags districts with 10% plus COVID test positivity rate in 15 states. Now, what are the implications of this? To talk about it, we have Professor Dr. Randeep Guleria with us, Director, All India Institute of Medical Sciences in New Delhi. And we also have Dr. Rakesh Agarwal, Director, JIPMER and member WHO Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization. Welcome to you both. Dr. Guleria, first to you. Now, the centre has been very clear that containment measures and all the measures that have been taken to ensure that the spread of COVID-19 is combated fully all across the country be followed in such a manner that it leads to a gradual decline in the cases. That has not happened in these districts. Do we know why in the first place?
Where the number of cases continue to be high and the case positivity continues to be high. It can be because of multiple factors. The most obvious one is lack of COVID appropriate behavior and the virus transmission continuing to happen in these areas. The other possibility could be less testing, but the data suggests that testing still is at the same level, but that could also be one cause. And the third is, of course, which we need to look at, but it again seems less likely, is whether there is a new variant which is developed. I think the most likely cause is that there is not that aggressive containment strategies, COVID appropriate behavior, and there is we are allowing the virus to spread in that community, and that is why the cases are not coming down. Although at a national level there is a decrease in our overall positivity rate to a significant extent, and therefore we need to work aggressively in these areas to make sure that they don't become the starting point of another wave. We need to work aggressively to see that the cases in that area come down by developing containment strategies, by looking at testing, treating, tracking, and also boosting the vaccination drive, so that in these areas the cases stay close to the national average and we don't see a rise in cases in this area which could then spread to other parts.
Right. Now, as far as containment measures are concerned, we already know that the advisor, Dr. Agarwal, has been not to, go in for complete lockdowns. That was there in the case only when the positivity rate is higher than a certain amount. And to follow these micro containment strategies, do you feel that there are some areas where perhaps this has not been strictly followed, and which is why we're seeing a high positivity rate and very limited, only 68 districts now in the country?
So I think let's go by what Dr. Guleria said a minute ago. A high positivity rate means at the very least that there are a fair number of people who are infected in that particular area. Yes, it is possible that testing is less, but that would have to cause a high positivity rate. It would be essential that only positive people are being selectively tested. Only then can a low testing rate cause a high positivity rate, which does not easily happen. So the most likely explanation is that there are a large number of cases occurring in these areas. And because the disease can occur only by spread from a human being, there is no animal reservoir or environmental reservoir. It means that the measures that we in our country call as COVID appropriate behavior, elsewhere is called as public health measures or is called as social measures, those are not being taken, which basically means people are mixing with each other too often and without barriers such as masks. So we need to reduce the contact rate, we need to use masks, we need to use measures that promote sanitary behavior, so washing hands, etc. All that needs to be done if we have to bring down the infection rate. If we don't do that, we have to remember that infections such as this have a momentum of their own. One infection begets 2 or 3, those 2 or 3 in turn beget 4 to 9, and it goes on. So till there are a fair number of infections occurring, there is always a risk of things going out of control, and we need to take steps.
Right. Now, Dr. Guleria, the reasons that are attributed to this happening is it's said that there might be a fatigue factor creeping in. People have been perhaps cooped up in homes for too long. They've been masking up almost religiously for months and months now and are getting tired. The other is that those who are getting vaccinated, especially after getting their second shots, feel that they have some sort of a liberty now to be able to act in a manner that they could not, before they got the shot. Now, what do you make of such behavior?
So you're right, there are multiple factors. One, of course, is fatigue and people getting fed up of the restrictions that they've had, which has not allowed them to live the life that they had before COVID, in terms of social behavior, in terms of going out, in terms of meeting friends or partying. And there is sometimes that couldn't care less attitude which is creeping in. Also, you're right that once people get vaccination, they feel that they are now safe. But I would just like to warn about 2 things. One is that vaccination will protect you against severe disease, but it's not something that is foolproof. And secondly, you can still get the infection, and you will be infectious, and you could spread the infection to your near and dear ones. Also, although you would be safe, you may cause the infection to someone else in your family or in your community who is not vaccinated or who is more vulnerable, and that person may land up with a serious infection because of you. Therefore, I think it's very important to understand that for the next few months, till a large number of people in our country are vaccinated, and we have a good number of people or a good herd of people who are vaccinated and immune and are able to break the chain of transmission, we should continue to have strict COVID appropriate behavior. It's a matter of just a few weeks or 2 or 3 months, because the vaccination drive is picking up and we are achieving good targets. Therefore, I would just really appeal to everyone that we must continue to really have COVID appropriate behavior just for the next few weeks. And I would make that appeal especially from the medical community point of view, tomorrow being Doctors' Day, because this puts a huge strain on doctors when it comes to increasing number of cases, especially in hospitals, in the ICUs, and many doctors have been working very hard for over a year. And I think for their sake, we should really work on decreasing the cases so that there's no strain on the hospitals as we saw during the second wave.
Yes, we must all remember the kind of sacrifices that our doctors, the entire health community, frontline workers have made to just keep people as safe as possible despite heavy challenges of a second wave as well. Now, Dr. Agarwal, in terms of how things are going in the rest of the country, the overall picture is still quite encouraging where the second wave is concerned. The worry is related to variants, and that too is something that is now being very actively pursued and investigated even at the genomic level. So that is also something that one should draw a lot of safety, feeling of safety from.
So variants for RNA viruses will arise, they always arise, and there is some concern, but at the same time, we can look at this as glass half full or as glass half empty. Yes, some of the variants spread at a faster rate, so that was true for the Delta variant that we had or have in our country. However, there could have been worse things, so this variant could have caused more severe disease. That does not appear to have happened, at least on the balance of whatever knowledge we have. It appears it did not cause more severe disease than the original virus caused. Though it is slightly less susceptible to vaccine and to the antibodies produced by natural infection or vaccine, but that difference appears to be relatively minor. The good part is that the measures that we have known to be the most effective, that is distancing, that is masks, prevent this infection fairly well, and therefore we don't need to change our strategy. If we continue to use the same strategy, we will take care of variants also. Also, as I said a little while ago, these variants seem to respond fairly well to the vaccines that we have, and we just need to get people immunized, and as we get more and more people immunized, we should be able to take care of variants.
Yes.
In relation to variants, one important thing that we need to remember is that the more the virus circulates, more new variants will come. So, in addition to what Dr. Guleria said, that we need to protect ourselves and we need to protect our families from transmission, to protect our society from development of new variants, we need to ensure that we follow distancing measures, masks, and take vaccines. So that is another important reason for us to do all this.
Mm-hmm. In terms of turning focus back, Dr. Guleria, to these districts which have been flagged by the centre, the test positivity rate 10% or more, in terms of how it's been giving relaxations to the restrictions that were put in place, is there an indication, a hint that those should not be happening at this stage?
So we have to have a graded policy, and I think whenever you find your positivity rate going up, you find more and more patients being admitted who are COVID positive into the hospital. So your hospital beds are getting sort of filled up. Then it is a red flag, and you need to really then clamp down and have more restrictions and decrease your unlocking, as so to say. And I think that is what we need to do, so that we don't allow that virus to spread in that area, and we don't also allow it to spread to other areas. And was rightly, as was just said by Dr. Agarwal, that if you have an area where you have more and more viral replication, you will have more mutation happening, variants emerging from that area, and they could be variants of interest. But what we are worried about is what is variants of concern. It could be a variant which is more infectious, and that could actually be the driving force for a new wave, which may start from that area but then spread to other parts of the country. Therefore, we have to have a strict micro containment zone policy, that if your positivity rate is high, you have to have some sort of aggressive containment strategy. Your testing, tracking, treating has to be solid, and you have to work on a plan there where vaccination is enhanced, where people are made more aware of COVID appropriate behavior, and very aggressive surveillance is done, especially genome sequencing, to pick up any new variant which may be developing in that area.
Right. And even in areas, Dr. Agarwal, where perhaps COVID-appropriate behavior is not witnessed, especially in busy markets. We've seen that being done in Delhi today itself. 6 markets have been shut down till the 5th of July, I believe, because it was found that people were engaging themselves in all kinds of activities, economic and otherwise, without really observing the kind of precautions that should be taken. So do you think that is also something that perhaps needs to be emphasized, and vigilance in that direction needs to be intensified as well?
So I think if I have to look at one word, it would be moderation. It would be watchful opening up. Everything is fine. We have this Buddha's path, the middle path. We can neither be too strict nor too loose. We need to keep a watch. It's a bit like parenting. When you have a child, you need to be strict with the child, but at the same time, you cannot be too strict. So we need to keep our eyes and ears open. As soon as the disease rate starts increasing, we need to restrict activities while rewarding people who are able to carry on their economic activities without allowing the disease rate to increase. And that purely depends on economics needs that some activities should be permitted. Yes, shops should be open, but as consumers, we need to be responsible, we need to be careful. If I have to buy 6 things in a week, I can plan so that I go on one trip and buy all 6 things in one trip and come back. I don't have to make 6 trips to buy 6 things. And this is something that will allow economy to run while at the same time keeping the disease under check. It is possible that a younger person in the family goes and buy things rather than an elderly person if he is unvaccinated, because the risk of disease is much lower in a younger person. We can similarly do several other things. We can go to a shop which is less crowded rather than go to a mall or a bigger shop which is much more crowded. We can go at a time when not many people go out. So by doing these simple things, we can ensure that we derive the benefits of unlocking while at the same time making sure that the disease does not spread. If each of us behaves somewhat responsibly, we can find that middle path, the sweet spot as a cricket batsman would call it, and that's what we need to do.
Well, definitely a sweet spot is what is really required when it comes to carrying out activities that are required to be carried out every day while keeping caution at the front. And let's hope that people do that. And in the case of these districts in these states, the kind of advice that has been given is also taken seriously and acted upon. Thanks a lot for joining us this evening, Dr. Agarwal as well as Dr. Randeep Guleria, and sparing your time. All right, now fresh COVID cases keep declining in the country. 45,951 daily new cases were registered in the last 24 hours. Overall recovery rate has climbed further to 96.92%. 33.28 crore vaccine doses have also been administered so far. The active caseload is declining and there is a decline in daily new cases as well. But caution remains something that needs to be kept at the forefront. The Supreme Court has ushered in relief for loved ones of those who lost their lives in the battle against COVID as well. The National Disaster Management Authority, that's the NDMA, has been asked to frame guidelines for payment of ex gratia compensation to family members of persons who succumbed to COVID-19.
The battle against the COVID-19 pandemic is underway. The centre is keeping a close watch on the situation and giving necessary guidance to the states. Result of these efforts is that the COVID cases are seeing a decline. In the past 24 hours, 45,951 new cases have been reported, while 60,729 people have recovered. And so, for the continuous 48th day, the recoveries outnumbered the new cases. The recovery rate has touched 96.92%. The active caseload in the country is 5,37,064, and this is just 1.77% of the total cases. While vaccination is going on a war footing, till now, over 33 crore 28 lakh vaccine doses have been given, and there is a continuous decline in the number of new corona cases. Special precautions are being taken to deal with Delta Plus variant of corona. Haryana government has ordered setting up a special lab so that genome sequencing can be done on a war footing. The Supreme Court has directed the National Disaster Management Authority to ascertain within 6 weeks ex gratia amount that can be paid to the family members of the deceased. However, the top court noted that it cannot direct an amount that the centre will have to pay. The court was hearing petitions seeking directions to the centre to provide ex gratia compensation of 4 lakh rupees each to the families of people who lost their lives to Covid-19. While in Odisha, the lockdown has been extended till 16th July. Night curfew will continue across the state. Uttarakhand government has ordered opening of schools through online medium. In view of second wave, the state government has declared summer vacation in all educational institutions. We may be unlocking, but paying utmost caution is of vital importance in our fight against COVID-19. Bureau Report, DD India.
Now, the Union Cabinet has taken landmark decisions in a wide range of sectors, from power distribution for ensuring 24/7 electricity supply nationwide to broadband connectivity to every village in the country. From bringing relief to COVID-hit sectors to extending the period of providing free food grain to the poor. Here are the details.
Be it power distribution sector or providing relief to the pandemic hit sectors or giving free food grains to the poor, the Union Cabinet has taken several important decisions that will immensely benefit the common man. The Cabinet approved the 6.28 lakh crore rupees relief package for coronavirus pandemic hit sectors announced by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman 2 days ago. Further, Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar informed media that the government has approved the entire package to provide free food grain supply to 80 crore poor people. This scheme has been extended till November 2021.
2 दिन पहले एक बड़ा निर्णय घोषित किया था वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण जी ने कि जिनको कोविड के चलते दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है, ऐसे सभी क्षेत्रों को 6,28,000 करोड़ का मदद का एक पूरा खाका उन्होंने बताया था। आज मुझे खुशी है कि 2 दिन हुए और कैबिनेट ने आज उसको अप्रूवल भी दिया।
Under the BharatNet project, the government aims to create an information highway in the country by connecting every Gram Panchayat of the country with a broadband connection. The cabinet thus approved public-private partnership mode for the rollout of BharatNet project for providing broadband services in villages of 16 states. This project entails an expenditure of over 19,000 crore rupees. An approval has also been given for extending BharatNet connectivity to cover all remaining states' UTs in the country.
देश के 16 राज्यों में भारतनेट को हम पीपीपी के मॉडल माध्यम से, पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप के मॉडल से 29,000 करोड़ रुपए के टोटल एक्सपेंसेस पर 29,432 करोड़ उसको हमने इन प्रिंसिपल अप्रूव किया है, जिसमें भारत सरकार की वायबिलिटी गैप फंडिंग होगी 19,041 करोड़ रुपया। The government of India will be only expending the viability gap funding of 19,041 करोड़। और ये हम देश के 3,61,000 गांव में जो 16 राज्यों में हैं, वहां पर इसे पीपीपी मॉडल के माध्यम से ला रहे हैं।
The government has already released 42,000 crore rupees under the BharatNet project. The cabinet on Wednesday approved to release additional funds to the tune of over 19,000 crore rupees, which makes the total allocated amount for BharatNet project to 62,000 crore rupees. Under the project, an agreement will be made with private players in PPP mode for 30 years, wherein facilities like e-governance, telemedicine and e-learning will be promoted in rural areas.
30 साल का हम कंसनियर एग्रीमेंट कर रहे हैं और उनको पूरा हम नेटवर्क उनको देंगे। इसकी तुलना में भारत सरकार 19,000 करोड़ के वायबिलिटी फंड पर इस पूरे आर्किटेक्चर को खड़ा कर रही है। सबसे बड़ी बात है ई गवर्नेंस नीचे तक जाएगा, ई गवर्नेंस मॉडल। दूसरा, कोविड के काल में टेली मेडिसिन का बहुत बड़ी उपयोगिता रही है, तो टेली मेडिसिन के माध्यम से लोगों को गांव में सुविधा मिलेगी। तीसरी बात, जो ग्रामीण परिवेश से पत्रकार जो उसको कनेक्ट रखते हैं, तो भारत में एक दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है कि बहुत सारे बच्चे रेलवे स्टेशन पर कोचिंग करते हैं क्योंकि वहां वाईफाई होता है। तो देश के ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में बच्चों के लिए अच्छी कोचिंग की डिजिटल व्यवस्था हो पाएगी, इसका बहुत बड़ा अवसर मिलेगा।
With a target of providing 24-hour uninterrupted electricity supply to all rural and urban areas of the country, the CCEA, Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, also approved a reform-based, result-linked power distribution scheme worth 3.03 lakh crore rupees. Power Minister R.K. Singh, reiterating Prime Minister Modi's vision of making India a power surplus nation, said, over the years, India has been able to stabilize the cost of electricity generation in the country.
हम लोगों ने 1,82,000 मेगावाट की क्षमता जोड़ी और अब हम पावर सरप्लस है, अपने नेबरिंग कंट्रीज को पावर एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं। हम लोगों ने 1,42,000 सर्किट किलोमीटर ट्रांसमिशन लाइन्स जोड़ा और हमने पूरे देश को एक ट्रांसमिशन सिस्टम में कनेक्ट कर दिया। वन कंट्री, वन ट्रांसमिशन सिस्टम, वन ग्रिड, रनिंग ऑन वन फ्रीक्वेंसी। इसका फल यह हुआ कि बिजली के लिए पूरा देश एक मार्केट हो गया।
The Power Minister further informed that the Modi government has created 1.82 lakh megawatt of additional power capacity, while 1.42 lakh kilometer long new transmission lines have been laid in the country. With this, India has undertaken the world's largest expansion program on the power front. In order to provide cheap electricity to farmers across the country, work is on to expand the agriculture feeder lines, which will be solarized in due process.
अब एग्रीकल्चर में अलग फीडर हो जाए ताकि बिजली उनको किसानों को सही ढंग से मिल सके, प्रॉपर वोल्टेज का और निर्बाध रूप से मिल सके। इसके लिए 15,000 करोड़ पहले हमने खर्च किया। 1,23,000 किलोमीटर एग्रीकल्चर फीडर बनाए। हम अब 1.25 लाख किलोमीटर एग्रीकल्चर फीडर बनाने के लिए इसमें व्यवस्था रखे। आज सिर्फ एग्रीकल्चर फीडर हम नहीं बना रहे, एग्रीकल्चर फीडर हम इस योजना के अंतर्गत बनाएंगे। उन सभी फीडर्स को हम सोलराइज करने जा रहे हैं कुसुम योजना के अंतर्गत।
With these decisions, the continuous focus of the Modi government remains on making a robust infrastructural framework in the country by making not just incremental but transformational changes in all sectors. With Shailendra Mishra, Bureau Report, DD India.
Keeping in mind the COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country, as a cautionary measure, the Director General of Civil Aviation has extended the suspension of scheduled commercial international flights till the 31st of July. The new restrictions shall not be applicable on international cargo operations and flights specifically approved by the DGCA. Flights on selected routes shall be allowed on a case-to-case basis. Scheduled passenger international flights were first banned in March 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic, while domestic flights resumed in May. And since then, the DGCA has extended the ban on international flights multiple times. Now, the heat wave-like conditions continue to prevail in Delhi NCR on Wednesday. Meteorological Department has forecast some respite from the heat wave on Friday and Saturday, as there could be cloud formation over Delhi and very light rain is likely in some parts. The weatherman has said that there is no further advancement of the southwest monsoon into remaining parts of Rajasthan, Delhi, Haryana, till the 7th of July. On Tuesday, the maximum temperature in Delhi touched 43 degrees Celsius, which was the highest recorded this year.
आज भी हमारे पास टेम्परेचर लगभग 42 से 43 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड रहने के चांसेस हैं और तेज हवाएं हमारे पास चल रही हैं। और साथ ही साथ देखेंगे कि 2 तारीख और 3 तारीख में हल्की फुल्की बारिश और रेनफॉल हो सकती है, तो उसके चलते थोड़ा सा तापमान हमारे पास गिर सकता है और लगभग तापमान 38 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड आ सकता है। मानसून के लिए अभी कंडीशन हमारे पास फेवरेबल नहीं है। अगले 6-7 दिनों तक वो कंडीशन ऐसी फेवरेबल बन भी नहीं रही है।
Now, after the fresh firing resumed, one more terrorist has been killed, taking the toll to 3 in an ongoing encounter at Chimar area of South Kashmir's Kulgam district on Wednesday. A senior police officer said that another one terrorist has been killed in Kulgam encounter. In an ongoing encounter, however, identity of the slain additional terrorist killed in Kulgam encounter is yet to be ascertained. Earlier, during the first round of firefight, 2 more terrorists were killed in Kulgam encounter. Earlier, a joint team of police, army and CRPF launched a cordon and search operation in Chimar. As a joint team of forces approached the suspected spot, hiding one more terrorist was killed in Kulgam encounter. He had opened fire upon the forces, triggering the gunfight. Let's now take a look at some more updates that have come in from across the country.
NIA team headed by one explosive expert of NIA visited inside premises of technical area of Jammu Air Force Station on Wednesday, where two low-intensity explosions took place this week. The NIA team collected samples from the site of explosion to examine what type of material was used in the explosives. Meanwhile, 6 members of Delhi Special Branch also visited the site of explosions and took samples. Supreme Court has directed the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India to provide opt-out option to candidates appearing for the 5th July CA exams who aren't able to prepare for exams either due to suffering from COVID or their families who might have contracted the disease. The Apex Court asked Yog Guru Ramdev to produce before it the video and transcripts of his statements on allopathy cure for COVID. The court posted the matter for hearing on 5th July. Ramping up efforts to hold elections in Jammu and Kashmir, the Delimitation Commission along with Chief Election Commissioner Sushil Chandra is set to visit the Union Territory from 6th July to 9th July to interact with all stakeholders including political parties, government officials and public representatives. Delhi Police Cyber Cell has notified Twitter seeking details of accounts circulating the child sexual abuse content on the platform. Delhi Police has said that 3 people were arrested after a brief encounter with the police team near Kashmiri Gate. One accused suffered a bullet injury and was hospitalized. Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari has written to Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray to take a call on demands raised by Leader of Opposition Devendra Fadnavis pertaining to the extension of the monsoon session, holding Assembly Speaker's election and OBC reservation restoration in line with the SC order. A committee constituted by the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission on Wednesday submitted a report before the Calcutta High Court on cases of alleged human rights violations in post-poll violence in West Bengal.
And now let's get you some updates from across the globe as well.
1 year after Hong Kong imposed a strict national security law, human rights watchdog Amnesty International in its report released on Wednesday said that China has created a human rights emergency in Hong Kong in the past 1 year. Amnesty International said that China, in the name of national security, gave authorities free rein to illegitimately criminalize dissent and taking away basic human rights. However, China denies the allegations, calling them purely malicious slander. The US House of Representatives have passed a bill to remove statues honoring those who favored slavery or backed the Confederacy from the Capitol building, which displays statues selected by all 50 states. The Democratic Party-led House of Representatives passed the bill with a majority of 285 votes in favor and 120 against. The statues and busts will be removed under the Remove Hate Bill, which will remove the statue of former US Chief Justice Roger Taney for giving a key decision in favor of slavery. His statue will be replaced by the statue of Supreme Court Associate Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first black American to serve on the High Court. The bill will be placed in the Senate to be approved soon. Search and rescue workers have recovered one more body from the ruins of a Florida condominium, taking the death toll in the Florida building collapse case to 12. Around 149 people are still missing after the building collapsed last week on Thursday. While investigators are yet to determine the cause of collapse of a major part of the 40-year-old building, initial reports point out towards some structural deficiencies leading to one of the worst building collapse accidents in the United States. Otherwise known for being one of the coldest countries in the world, Canada is presently experiencing one of the worst and deadliest heat waves in its history. The temperature in some parts of the country touched a record-breaking 49.5 degrees Celsius on Tuesday. At least 233 people, mostly elderly, have died in Canada since Friday, with temperatures hovering between 47 degrees and 49.5 degrees Celsius as a deadly heat wave has gripped US Pacific Northwest region. Forecasters are predicting similar conditions on July 1st, with some relief coming on July 2nd. Talking about Covid-19. Over 18 crore 26 lakh people have so far contracted the virus, while close to 39 lakh people have lost their lives. Over 16 crore 72 lakh people have been recovered from the virus. The United States remains the worst hit with over 3 crore 45 lakh cases and 6 lakh 19,000 deaths so far. Covid-19 will continue to affect the tourism sector this year as well, a report released on Wednesday by the United Nations said. According to the UN's World Tourism Organization and UN Conference on Trade and Development, international arrivals are set to stagnate this year, causing up to $2.4 trillion in further global losses in the sector, which is not expected to rebound fully until 2023.
Let's talk sports now, and first up, football. The Euro 2020 round of 16 treated the world with some exhilarating, some jaw-dropping and some even shocking football. Goals and quality galore, but it wasn't devoid of some shocking results. The last 16 saw two former world champions in Germany and France crashing out, while Czech Republic pulled off a shocking win against the Netherlands. It all happened in the round of 16, and it is bound to get better in the last 8th stage of the competition as well. Here's a look at Euro 2020 quarterfinals fixtures.
The UEFA Euro 2020 quarter-final ties are confirmed following the completion of the round of 16. The first quarter-final match will be played between Switzerland and Spain on July 2nd at 9:30 p.m. Switzerland come into this game on the back of a win over Didier Deschamps' France in the round of 16. A brace from Benfica striker Haris Serovic and a goal from Dinamo Zagreb forward Mario Gavranovic for Switzerland was cancelled out by a brace from Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema and a goal from Manchester United midfielder Paul Pogba. Switzerland eventually triumphed on penalties, with Paris Saint-Germain superstar Kylian Mbappe's attempt being saved by Swiss goalkeeper Jan Sommer. Spain, on the other hand, beat Croatia 5-3 on Monday in the round of 16. In the second quarter-final, Belgium will be up against Italy at Allianz Arena in Munich on July 3rd at 12:30 a.m. Belgium secured their spot in the last 8 by following a 100% record in Group B with a 1-0 victory over reigning champions Portugal, courtesy of Thorgan Hazard's beautiful long-range strike in the first half. Italy also maintained a 100% record during the group stage, although needed extra time to overcome Austria in the round of 16. Federico Chiesa and Matteo Pessina strikes saw Roberto Mancini's men come out 2-1 winners over a spirited and resilient Austria side to send the Azzurri through to this mammoth quarter-final clash. In the third quarter-final of the Euro 2020, Czech Republic will face Denmark at Olympic Stadium in Baku. While the Czechs have proved a strong unit throughout the tournament, Denmark have grown into the summer since Christian Eriksen's cardiac arrest during their first group game against Finland. Denmark have won 2 of their 3 Euro 2020 fixtures since then and spanked Wales 4-0 in Amsterdam to reach the quarterfinals, a result that will live long in the memory of many Danes back home. The Czechs meanwhile delivered a knockout blow to Netherlands on Sunday evening with an emphatic display in Budapest. Striker Patrick Schick now boasts 4 goals for the tournament and looks deadly. Meanwhile, England will take on Ukraine at Stadio Olimpico in Rome on 4th July at 12:30 a.m. England struck twice late on to end a 55-year wait for a knockout tie victory over Germany amid scenes of huge tension and elation at Wembley to reach the Euro 2020 quarterfinals. England were again thankful for the brilliance of Everton goalkeeper Jordan Pickford, who has yet to concede a goal in the tournament and saved crucially from Timo Werner and Kai Havertz in each half. England now face Ukraine in the quarterfinals in Rome. Sports Desk, DD India.
Ace shuttler Pygmy Sindhu is ready and excited to represent India in the upcoming Tokyo Olympics. The absence of defending champion Carolina Marin will be an advantage, but there are at least 6 more title contenders at the Tokyo Games. Sindhu had to settle for a silver 5 years back at the Rio Games after going down against Marin.
Preparations wise, yes, everything is going on well, sir, and yeah, they're just a couple of weeks away, and yeah, you know, back then unfortunately it got postponed because of this COVID, but now you know, it has arrived finally, and I hope things will be fine and everything will be good. But we have to be careful, and obviously we have to make sure that we maintain that social distancing and make sure we wear masks and, you know, keep sanitizing. But otherwise, yes, preparations are going on well, and yeah, I'm all set, and I'm really excited, looking forward for the Olympics.
And Purella Gupichan, the national badminton coach, is confident that all 4 badminton players have a very good chance of winning the medals at the Tokyo Olympics. Rio Olympic silver medalist PV Sindhu, B. Sai Praneeth, and the men's doubles duo of Chirag Shetty and Satvik Sairaj Rankireddy have earned berths for the Olympics, which is scheduled to begin starting the 23rd of July.
All of them have a very good chance at the Olympics, and hopefully the next few days of preparation will go on well, and we can have some good results. We have individual teams working with each of these players. We have the Sports Authority of India and the Badminton Association supporting us, the Telangana government supporting us, and we are able to get them the best practice. We have coaches Park, Pro and Agus training them, and hopefully we'll have some good results at the Olympics.
And if we talk tennis now, well, Canadian 5th seed Bianca Andreescu suffered a first round defeat in straight sets at Wimbledon as she was dominated by France's Elise Cornet. World number 58 Cornet produced an impressive display to record a 6-2, 6-1 victory over the 2019 US Open champion, who made as many as 34 unforced errors. The 21-year-old Andreescu only other main draw appearance at Wimbledon was a first-round exit in 2017. In the men's category, Novak Djokovic, the top seed and 2-time defending champion, has stormed into the 3rd round of the men's singles. Djokovic defeated South Africa's Kevin Anderson 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 in a second-round match at Centre Court this evening. Now, in order to support our Tokyo-bound athletes, Sports Authority of India is conducting a quiz. You can also participate in this quiz by logging in to this address that is on the screen right now. Now, a dozen captive-bred Pygmy Hogs, which are the world's smallest and rarest wild pig species, have been released into the wild in northeastern India's Manas National Park as a part of a conservation program to boost the population of a species once thought to have become extinct. Take a look.
The Pygmy hogs, which has the scientific name Porcula salvania, threatened by extinction, originally found in the narrow belt of tall alluvial grasslands along the plains on the Himalayan foothills in Nepal, India and Bhutan. It belongs to a unique genus that has no close relative. It stands about 25 centimeters from the ground and weighs 6 to 9 kg. It differs from young wild boars in having rudimentary tail and has more spindle-shaped body, which is known as Takuri Bora in Assamese, though it is commonly known as Nolgahuri. Its population declined in 1960s, leading to fears it had become extinct until it was rediscovered in India's northeastern state of Assam in 1971. The Pygmy Hog Conservation Program, involving several organizations including from state and national government, established a captive breeding scheme with 6 hogs in 1996 to try and revive their population. Manas Field Director Mr. Amal Chandra Sharma said that in the recent years, Manas National Park is really doing well in conservation, and with the release of these hogs in Bhuyapara range, the hog population will be increased.
We have less than 200 pygmy hog, and last year most of the tourists have seen these pygmy hogs, which are roaming in Rupohi grassland, and the people are very happy that they have seen the pygmy hogs. But reintroduction of pygmy hog in Manas from 2020, now people are often see the pygmy hog, and this year also we have released 12 pygmy hogs.
This is for the second time pygmy hogs are reintroduced in Manas after successfully releasing 14 hogs in 2020. The Pygmy Hog Conservation Program that proposes to release about 60 pygmy hogs over the next 5 years in Manas from 2020. The iconic species have returned to their home where their last original population still survives but has dramatically declined. The species' survival has been threatened by the loss and degradation of its habitats due to human activity such as settlement and agriculture and the improper management of such areas. But with the conservation program, more pygmy hogs will be seen in the wildlife in the future, which is a good news for the animal lovers. Mridushmita Chaudhary's report, DD News, Guwahati.
And now here's some special update from the world of technology as well. Well, with new technologies coming into the world every day, a brand new one has emerged, bearing good news for the ones who are visually impaired. White sticks used by the visually impaired to help them get about have had a high-tech makeover with a smart cane that can detect obstacles. Along with that, the smart cane can also give users information about the shops and restaurants they are passing by. The device is the brainchild of Kursat Ceylan, who is a Turkish inventor unsighted by birth. He helped to set up WeWalk, which is a tech company that has created an electronic handle for the top of the cane. It uses ultrasound to detect obstacles, can be paired with a smartphone, and gives voice feedback to help keep the user safe and informed. He said the foldable cane, priced at $599, is already being used by thousands of visually impaired people in 59 countries, and WeWalk is further working with companies including Microsoft to add more features to it. And in Greece, authorities said on Tuesday that a 49-year-old man had confessed to the theft of 2 famous paintings from the country's National Gallery 9 years ago, after showing the police where he hid the artworks in a wooded ravine. The 2 paintings by artists Pablo Picasso and Dutch painter Piet Mondrian had been stolen from Greece's National Gallery in 2012. The thief had first hid the paintings, Picasso's 1939 woman's head and Mondrian's 1905 mill, in a makeshift crypt built in the bathroom of his house. He later wrapped them up and hid them in the ravine in the eastern Attica suburb of Keratia. The Greek National Gallery has been closed since 2011 for renovations and opened again this year. And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of Newsnight, but all the latest continues right here on DD News and DD India. Stay with us and stay safe. Above all, mask up, observe all COVID protocols, and as and when your turn comes, do get vaccinated. Thanks for watching. Good night.
With the world